again, totally not a traditional video that I do, but I feel like I've just got to get some stuff on my chest. But this economy sucks like dog water. It is worse than it's ever been in probably the history of modern times. So, and it kind of gets me wound up. So, boomers, all right. So our grandparents, generally speaking, silent generation two can, I guess, kind of be included if you're lucky. Hoping that all your grandparents are alive and everything like that. They don't understand how messed up everything is price wise. There's this guy on TikTok, um, uh, FS Smith, maybe, not sure on that, but he's a real estate expert who just shows you how much harder it is in today's economy to afford basically a house, or how basically 55, 60, 65K is essentially the new minimum wage that we have in this economy just to meet basic needs like housing, car payment, student loans, all that stuff, childcare. It's like paycheck to paycheck at 55, 65K. I remember when I was in high school, so it was 2016 at the time, like my senior year at least. Um, and my goal essentially was to just have a job that paid 50, 60, 65K. I'd be ecstatic. And that was because everything was reasonably priced. Today, nearly 10 years later, it's almost impossible to save any kind of money for retirement with that. Um, you have boomers that'll say, "Oh, you kids are just so entitled. You guys aren't willing to make the sacrifices. You guys are spending your money on stupid stuff." It's like, I get that I'm an exception to the rule in a lot of ways, and that like I don't really spend money on stupid stuff. But to be honest, none of my friends really spend money on stupid stuff. Like, they're actually financially responsible, and that could just be the company that I keep. But even just random people that I meet, they're not spending their money on, let's just call it, non-essentials. Most people are, paying a payment on a car. They've got rent, they've got food. That's pretty much it. Maybe a couple of subscriptions here and there to like Netflix or Disney Plus or something like that, which if you have Disney Plus, just go ahead and cancel your account at this point. I mean, screw Disney. Side tangent, I know. But it's terrible. Even the job market. So there's been this emerging trend on TikTok. There's all these recruiters basically saying that they've been having to post ghost jobs, which are fake jobs that don't actually exist, but they are being posted for the sole purpose of, one, it looking good to the shareholders that the company is growing, that they're hiring, even though they're not, but it's fraud essentially at the end of the day. It's also to scare employees, current employees, of like getting them in the mindset of, oh, I'm always replaceable. They're hiring. I can be replaced, even though that's not really the case. You have more power than you know. Employees, I'm talking to you. And then the other reason is that if there's like a job that they post that's a little like a higher position and somebody internally tries to apply to that, they basically make sure that that person doesn't have a shot, because they're not looking to actually pay their internal people more money. They're not trying to promote within. They're always trying to hire from the outside, which is another weird thing. It's like, why not just hire somebody that's already familiar with the company? It comes down to greed. And yes, you got fake jobs, and then you have these companies which, like, this is a crazy part of where we're at in America and this late stage capitalism of which we're in. And guys, I'm not a socialist, I'm not a communist, but I'm able to recognize that, yeah, sure, capitalism can be good. Capitalism was good for a very long time, but we are in the late stages of it to where now it's a bit too far. Like, you're seeing the bad aspects of capitalism right now, which is exploitation of labor, which will, it's eventually going to turn into communism or socialism again. It just will, but that's not here or there right now. You have these companies who, when they hire you on, like, let's just say you're lucky enough to actually get an interview, right, in this economy. Like, let's just say you're lucky enough to get an interview. The job ad said 25 to 30 an hour, but then you get hit with an offer of $20 an hour. And you're like, wait, what? Like, the ad said 25 to 30. Oh, well, you just don't have this, or you just don't have that. Like, just like made up BS that they're just trying to knock you on so they don't actually have to pay. It's like, that should I think that should be criminal. Like, if you go to an interview and they're saying, hey, you're going to be making like 70 grand a year, and then they're like, oh, hey, but actually we're only going to pay 50. Like, no, that does not, no, that should not be legal whatsoever. And what this leads to is this increasing dependence on side hustles, side incomes, starting your own business on the side, which, like, it sounds so messed up. The fact that some people have to have full-on businesses on the side to supplement their full-time job. Like, just let that sink in for a second. Guys, our grandparents, they literally had to work one job 40 hours a week. I don't give a shit what type of conditions that they had. I mean, they were factories and they had to stand out on their feet all day. Like, I get it. It wasn't necessarily like cushy office work and, somewhere in construction, they were in the trades. I get it. But it comes down to time. And the simple fact of the matter is like, they would just punch in, punch out 40 hours a week. If they wanted to work overtime to get time and a half pay, they absolutely could. They have pensions. Guys, any of you in the comments below, do you have a freaking pension? No, pensions are basically non-existent for regular people like us. And then you have Social Security tax. Like, we're never even going to get it. We're paying for the past. It reminds me of that South Park episode, Man, Bear, Pig. I don't know what the actual title is, but that character that they had was like Man, Bear, Pig. And ultimately what it came down to was it was the boomers that were kicking this can down the road, and then, we tried to also kick the can down the road, whatever. But it's like, that's what it is. They've profited. They sold out our future. Like, we have nothing. Like, we're gonna have to do 2 or 3 different side hustles, it feels like, to stand a chance at being able to retire at all, if we're able to. So it's like, we do live in a side hustle economy now. It's like, I've got a full-time job, I have a side hustle of my own, I have a couple other like diversifications that I have, and it's okay. Like, I'm adapting, I'm overcoming, but geez, like, it should not have to be like this. Like, you guys think I'm crazy, just drop it down in the comments below, but it's like, I don't think I am. Everything is just so fraudulent in this market. It's like Michael Burry from that movie, like The Big Short. It's like, I think our economy is entirely propped up on fraud right now. When you look at the prices for things, cars, houses, you look at the stock market. Look, here's an idea. Go ahead right now, pause the video, go on your phone. If you have an iPhone, it's super easy, but look up the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. Look at those two. Look at the exponential curve we've had since basically 2008. Okay, that is unsustainable. If you look at the dot-com bubble, the '08 Great Recession, Great Financial Crisis, whatever you want to call it, the rise and falls were essentially identical. What we have now is unprecedented. I'd call this thing the everything bubble. Eventually it's going to crash. And the reason why it's going to crash is because everything is too overvalued. Talked about this before. Go check out Real Estate Mindset, their YouTube channel. They dive into how all these properties are just way overpriced. Check out Lucky Lopez. Talks about the car market. That's overpriced. We have, guys, and I don't care to share this story, but I will. So I got this ticket a little while back, and so I finally had to go to court and pay it, whatever, right? But as I'm sitting there in traffic court, I guess it's a blessing in disguise, because it's like I've got this story now, right? But most of what I saw, People had tickets anywhere between like 150 to 300 bucks or so, right? So it's like, that's, it's a decent amount of money, but that's also an amount of money that people should be able to, like, throw down in an emergency situation or a ticket like this, right? I kid you guys not. It was like like one out of every three or four people that got onto the stand as they were getting their like plea agreement read to them or whatever could not actually pay it that day. Guys, I saw a nurse who couldn't pay an $175 ticket that day. Like, are you kidding me? It is that bad. And it's like, he may not have a side hustle. He might just have the job. Maybe he makes bad financial choices. That could very well be. But it was shocking. And the fact that, yeah, one out of every three or four people that went up there, just like they couldn't actually pay it, like, baffled me. Like, where are we at? Like, this should not be a thing. The economy sucks. And I hate this corporate gaslighting, or even media gaslighting of people saying, oh, like, it's better than it's ever been, it's stronger than it's ever been before. It's like, no, people should not have to have 2, 3, 4, 5 different sources of income. It should just not be a thing. And then the fake gurus, they don't help with this. They're like, oh, well, you need to have multiple sources of income. The average millionaire has 7 different sources of income. There's just so many things wrong with that. Like, I remember 5 years ago, I was listening to Bob Proctor, and I gotta admit, like, I fell for that crap hook, line, and sinker. I thought I had discovered something that nobody else had discovered before. I thought I was, like, just a genius that had broken out of the matrix. I really did. And it's kind of weird how they get you to that place with their logic that they try to use, their faux logic, I should say. But it's like the way that most people get rich. I'm talking probably in the realm of like 10 million plus a year. The way that most people get there, and I've seen it personally, is by exploiting the people that work under them. And that's just a simple fact of the matter. I know people, there's one guy in my head that I'm thinking of in particular. And just to keep it, relatively anonymous, I'm not giving a name. But this guy probably does the job of 6 or 7 different people at this point. And he's only paid like the average American salary. I'll go and let you guys look that up on Google. He's been led on to believe that he would get, an increase in pay, and maybe that will eventually happen. I hope to God it does. I really do. But given the history of leadership in that area, I just like I don't think it's realistic, because it comes down to greed. For whatever reason, that's something I don't understand. Is you have some people out there who could be making $10 million a year, and they will cry over the idea of giving one of their employees who totally deserves it like a $5,000 monthly raise because he's doing the job of like freaking 6 different people, and he's only one dude. Like, it's terrible. And it's often these gurus that practice like, oh, you should be getting paid for this, getting paid for that, but then they turn around in their own employees or business partners, different transactions, stuff like that. They are they're just stingy, borderline Ebenezer Scrooge when it comes to their money and parting ways with it. It's the strangest thing. I've never seen, and maybe this will be a quote, but it's like I've never seen these gurus who preach abundance so freaking much. I've never seen them like, or I've never seen somebody that's preached abundance so much, like, just squabble over like the tiniest amounts of money compared to what they're bringing in personally. Like, if you have somebody generating you that's at least responsible for probably a couple $100,000 a month coming into your business, and you're gonna cry about giving them a raise by even $2,500 a month, like, good lord, like I don't see how that makes any sense. And then it goes the same for corporate America. Yeah, as we've seen, we've got corporations making their biggest profits ever, yet their employees are barely getting by. And they're just like, oh, well, you need to work harder. You need to work harder. How much harder do these people need to work? After a while, you're just lying to somebody, you know? It's terrible. But video's going long. I'll go ahead and start tying it up here. But if you guys want to know at least what I do on the side, to just kind of, keep myself afloat or whatever, go ahead and check out this thing. It's called, whoops, what's going on here? Daggone it. I don't know. Okay. Well, go ahead, check out this link. I'll have it down for you in the description below. I don't know why I can't share my screen right now. But this link will be down for you in the description below. It explains what I do, and how I basically make some money on the side. So if you guys are interested, check it out. If you found this video helpful or you want us to start a conversation out in the comments below, go for it. I'll see you guys in the next one.